Hi, I'm Rachel Gary from the Hartford Public Library. I'm here with the artist Bun Keo, whose exhibit Head to Toe opens on our ArtWalk on February 13th. Great. So, our first question is, what inspired your work, and where do you get your inspiration from?
Well, a lot of it's based on just growing up, being a son of immigrants that came here after the Khmer Rouge was a communist regime in Cambodia. They fled the country looking for better opportunities, and they were sponsored by a Christian group, and they finally came to America. They had myself and my sister, and growing up, they came from nothing. So being provided this opportunity in America to have everything, they raised me to be really appreciative of every little thing, every nuance. So the inspiration comes from learning the language, the culture, like sayings, like people that take for granted, like killing two birds with one stone. These common sayings to most Americans is very, second nature. To me, I have to visualize it. That's so morbid, Like, what does that mean?
Right.
But it takes this visualization for me to understand that part of the American culture, And so just growing up, learning words and learning these funny sayings and understanding them, and the process of finding my own way to make sense of them. So it's this cultural discovery every day for me. Like, English was my second language, but I've been able to continually try to improve my English, at the same time trying to preserve what knowledge of my parents' cultures that they were able to bestow upon me. So,
Do you think that experience translates across all cultures? I mean, you come from a Southeast Asian culture,
Yes.
correct? But do you think that it speaks to other immigrant cultures?
well, yeah, I hope the struggle that I go through and the experiences I go through is very across the board for most people, especially in America, where it's a melting pot. The cliche saying, America is the world's melting pot, which it really is. And you can't but help to be bombarded with linguistic issues each day. We text people, we email, language is constantly evolving, so are we, and we have to adapt to it. And that's the most fun. I enjoy that part. I'm like, is it evolving? Is it devolving? Like, I don't care. It's changing.
Right.
So
Right.
I take that, and I use it as a means of inspiration for my work. I love wordplay. There's so much about this language that you can dissect and just pull apart and really just put under a microscope. Like, what can I do with this small nuance of linguistics, and see what I can blow it up, make it interesting, present it in a way that no one has really seen it, under this light, in this context. So
Very cool.
I think people from different mixed cultural backgrounds will appreciate this exhibition for that reason.
Excellent.
So.
So you mentioned cultural kind of assimilations. How do you define your style, your artistic style?
My work is very non-traditional work because I don't paint, I don't chisel out of marble, I don't put Greco-Roman style of bust on a pedestal, nothing's framed. I'm a very conceptual artist, contemporary if you want to call it. I use very commonplace things because these things are very representative of us, of our culture. We're very a consumerist culture, very materialistic. Everything we buy has a name brand, but each little thing, each thread, each memo pad, each pen, it was made by somebody. It has a story, It has a process. It went through a journey. It may cost $1. It may be found on the ground, but it's not as simple as that.
Right.
And maybe I'm just stretching it. I'm reaching for straws, but I feel like it's those nuances. It really gives life its purpose. So I look at everything. A stop sign. It's not a stop sign to me. It's a red hexagon with a white outline, meaning stop.
Right.
So it's you take something so simple, something you see every day, and just like exponentially expand it and explain it and break it down, and then you appreciate everything at that point in time, because it's
Right.
no longer this one unified thing, it's layers of things.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
Interesting. And so you consider yourself to be more of a contemporary artist.
Yeah.
Are there other artists that you enjoy, that you appreciate, that you think have influenced you, be contemporary or not?
Well, the guy that like I have to reference is like Duchamp, like the ready-made. Like he found a way to take any object and put it in a different context. Maybe give it a title. The title itself, is the artwork. And the art, he had a piece called The Fountain, which was a urinal he placed in a gallery show, and people were furious. But the fact that he juxtaposed a title that was not the actual object in itself was a genius artistic gesture. So, and Duchamp, and I really like my contemporaries here. David Borowski had a show here recently. His work, he uses commonplace objects, he uses cultural references as well, and surrounding myself with those type of people, this type of artists, it's really encouraging, because a lot of people consider art to be something that has to be framed, that has to be something like a figure that's well rendered,
Right.
or a sculpture that has to be anatomically correct. But when I see art is anything and everything that you want it to be. Yeah, it's an open book, and people want to debate. It has to be black and white. It can be gray.
Right.
I love it to be gray.
Yeah.
Gray is the best thing. So.
Very cool. So talk a little bit about your evolution as an artist. When did you start doing art? How has it transformed throughout the
I
years?
started when I was young, when I was a hoarder in kindergarten, hoarding old homework and assignments that I took and started doodling on the back of. And I used to get in trouble because my teachers would be like, "Joe, your desk is overflowing with doodles, get it out of here." And at that point, I knew I enjoyed art at some fashion. It evolved from wanting to be an illustrator, being a cartoonist, being in love with Japanese animation as a kid. But it all evolved, going through art school, you take art history courses. Art as you knew it as a kid isn't what it is. It's more. You learn this through taking more courses, and
Right.
it was one art history course in college that really just was like the Pandora's box, like just opened the gates, the floodgates open, and I'm like, wow, art can be anything. I can make it anything. It's so liberating. It's one of those fields in culture that's can be molded in any way you want.
Right.
So.
Right. It is what you want it to be. You
Definitely.
believe in it. That's
Yeah.
very good. Yeah, absolutely. You give me hope for my son. He's a hoarder and a doodler.
Yeah. Keep him. One day he'll become
Oh,
famous.
you're right.
And
Absolutely.
You'll reap the benefits of the money. I'm
I
saying.
do. I keep them. I do. So, which of your pieces or installations or showcases has been a favorite of yours?
Well, to be honest, this one is very exciting, and I'm excited to see the reception it gets, whether it's negative or positive. Any criticism is good. People are responding to it. So I'm excited about this show because my prior work was very witty wordplay, very quick punchlines, visual punchlines, where this integrates that, but also with my interest in my culture. A lot of my work before was very generic and very, very, very accessible, where this is more personal. It's probably one of the most personal shows I've had in a while. So to infuse that with my humor and my interest in language, to me, it's going to be interesting how it all comes together in this exhibition. And I just can't wait to see it.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
So now it's a more personal show for you, but you said any of the feedback, good or bad, is welcome and appreciated. How do you deal with maybe at times if someone misinterprets the purpose of the show, or doesn't understand what you're trying to how it's trying to come across to
With
them?
conceptual work, you're prone to that issue, and you, as an artist, you go into creating a piece having an intention. You have something you want to convey. But in the end, art displayed or showed in public will always be open to interpretation. You have to be ready for that. Maybe the way off, But if they connect to that piece that way, let them connect it that way. Who am I to confine that to them? You know, I present it. I hope they'll get my intention, but if not, if they enjoy it in another way or they don't enjoy it in a certain way, so be it.
Right.
At least they're connecting at some level.
Right.
It's that ability to create a debate, a controversy, or a joy, or a little spark, a little light bulb that clicks, you know, whatever the case may be. I want to initiate something.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's a great segue into my next question, which is, what do you think are the best and worst parts about being an artist, either professionally or, you know?
You always have to defend yourself. You know, it's like I wish I had a good attorney. You know, and like everyone's trying to like say you're not an artist, you don't paint, you don't draw, you don't sculpt.
Right.
You know, well, I say to them, conceptual work, it's very hard to understand. I say to them, when you see a building erected, and where does the credit go to? Does it go to every single construction worker? No, it goes to the architect firm. It goes to the financiers of the building. When you see the Nutcracker, you know, performance, who is it credited to? Is credit to the choreographer, but not the single dancers. Conceptual art is the same fashion. You know, like, no, I don't make these commonplace objects. I purchase them, I recontextualize them, but that gesture in itself makes it mine. So, like, you know, I may not render a beautiful nose or sculpt an amazing, you know, arm, but I feel like I'm able to put questions in people's minds and have them think. You know, my work isn't easy to understand, and that's what I love about it. I don't want it to be easy. I want them to work hard for it. And if they don't want to work hard for it, then so be it. Those that do, those are the people that, you know, become involved in your work, become involved in your world, and that's a dialogue I wish to have.
Yeah, excellent. So do you think then that your work and this exhibit in particular has two goals? One, the more personal message that you want to get across, but also exposing folks to the idea that art is not just what they think it is.
Yes, I hope that it does both things.
Yeah.
And you know, if it succeeds in both levels, then it's one of my wins. You know.
Yeah.
One for Joe Keo, you know.
So it's kind of a struggle then, being an artist and trying to get across your
there's
your
no money
purpose.
in it, let's say.
So do you ever feel giving up on it? Is it ever a thing that you're like, I think I'm done?
I went to art school hoping to have a lucrative career, but no, that was naive going into it. I think that you have that naive notion going to, you know, an art school thing. You'll make it big, but you know, you have to have connections. You have to be that good. You have to know certain people, be at the right place, the right time. You know, like, I have a day job. I'm a shipping, receiving clerk, production specialist. I supervise people. I put things in boxes. I ship things out. I'm warehouse logistics. It pays the bills, feeds my family. But when I have time, I read up on art. I stay focused, and I try to, you know, remain relevant in the art world. And when opportunities like this at the ArtWalk at the Hartford Public Library arises, I have to grab onto them, because, like, you know, during my 60+ hours working overtime, when do I have time to really make art? So I gotta find it where I can. So.
Do you think that's the experience of the commonplace artist? I mean, there are some that, of course, rise to, you know, these great, you know, infamy, but do you think that the majority of artists here are working a day job and then just trying to figure out ways to get across their works and other?
Well, I can't speak for every artist, but I feel like the many artists that I know, you know, they have struggled. Many of my classmates are still struggling as well, taking jobs where they can just to pay their way. You know, materials are not, you know, cheap. You know, a studio space isn't cheap. You know, my studio space is my small living room where I share my infant son. You know, so I can't afford like a loft gallery space to work in. But I feel like as an artist, there's a sense that, you know, you're going into it expecting some struggle. You know, the starving artist. You know, like, I'm not starving by any means, but I'm not rich by any means either. You know, like there is a constant, you know, battle and effort going into it. It's not easy. So being an artist, it's a self-inflicted, you know, struggle and passion at the same time.
Yeah. So take us visually through the exhibit a little bit. and talk about some of the elements and what the message is overall and individually, and also talk a little bit about how it works in the ArtWalk space here at the library.
The space was so great when I came upon it because it's like a bridge, and the name of the show is Head to Toe, and part of my artist statement, exhibition statement, was that head to toe is a common phrase meaning a completion. You know, your attire is complete, your ensemble is complete, but also it's point A to point B. Entering the ArtWalk space, the ArtWalk, that's point A, and then point B is the back wall. So when I installed the pieces, I did so in a way to show the visitors a journey. The first piece that visitors will confront is a piece called Feet, F-E-A-T. It's also a play on words of feet. In Asian culture, when you enter someone's home, you're supposed to take off your shoes. In this case, I'm turning the exhibition space to my private space. And in this piece, I have a mat where the shoes will go if you decide to take your shoes off upon entering the exhibit. There's also a sign indicating, please take off your shoes. That in itself becomes a social experiment. Will people adhere to this cultural situation, respect the space? Or will people be reluctant to do so because of, oh, my feet stinks, I didn't wear enough stockings, I didn't wear the right socks, or my Jimmy shoes will get stolen. You know, that type of deal.
Right.
Like, it becomes a highlight of people's social etiquette and their behavior. And that in itself, that piece is a simple gesture, a simple request, but it creates all these questions. So that's the first thing you are bombarded with.
Right.
And like
a challenge right off the bat.
A challenge right off the bat. Then if you can overcome that challenge, proceed, the first thing you see is my signature piece. It's called Tricolor. Tricolor is a common phrase for a flag that's 3 colors. And I'm Cambodian, I speak Thai, I was born in America. All those flags of those countries are red, white, and blue, 3 colors. But this flag that I created is black and white. It's void of color, but it's combining the 3 flags together, stacked. So it's one unified flag with all the cultures in one flag, but devoid of color. Yet I still call it tricolor. It's saying that a flag is something a country holds on to as a representation, a symbol of their culture, you know, something they're proud of. But being someone who's constantly in flux about their cultural identity, I'm void of color because I don't adhere to one culture. So it's this perpetual, you know, back and forth of what am I, who am I, culturally. So that's one piece there. And that's the piece that you see on the promotional cards and such. Moving on the bridge itself is a piece called Field. My parents went through the Khmer Rouge. It was a very violent, communist regime taking over the country between 1975 and 1979, where they were trying to turn the culture to an agrarian society, but with this vision came a lot of abuse and destruction. It was a genocide. And part of that genocide was minefields. My parents had to flee through jungles and be cautious of every step they take. And the next step can be their last. They can lose a limb, lose a life. My father referenced a time where he was walking with his friend trying to flee, and he turned around and his friend's not there anymore. So this piece, Field, what I did was I took bowls of rice, uncooked rice, with sticks of incense. In Asian culture, when you take a bowl of rice and put incense and burn it, it's an offering to your ancestors. Because the smoke is supposed to carry the essence of the rice as feeding, an offering to those who have passed and who have struggled for you to be here. Without their struggle and their pain, you would not be here. So what I did was I created 6 of these incense bowls of rice and placed them on the bridge, the whole length of the bridge, as if each ball was a mine. You would, as a visitor, you had to navigate it as cautiously as you would as a person navigating a minefield.
Right.
After you prevail in that feat, you reach my next piece, Capture the Flag. I create a coloring book page per se, where I have all three flags, all three outlines of the flags on one piece of paper, and I made hundreds of copies of it, and I have a box of crayons and 3 books, reference books for Cambodia, Thailand, United States of America. So I'm taking this idea of a flag, something so severe, so powerful that represents a nation, a culture, and turning it into a juvenile activity. You know, like, do people really know which goes first, the red or white stripe on the American flag?
Right.
Do people know what the Cambodian flag looks like? Do people know what the Thai flag looks like? I'm offering them so many different colors. You know, in reality, it's only 3 colors.
Right.
But
Interesting.
like, I want to see, you know, what people do.
Wow.
And it also gives a chance for children who happen to come to be also involved. You know, like, my show I do not want to, restrict it to one demographic. You know, I want them, even the youngest kid, to understand, these images, the simple activity is actually more profound than you know.
Right.
So, after you finish coloring your flag or not coloring it, my next piece is called Unrest. The head in the Asian culture is the most sacred part of the body. Feet, the most vulgar, the most dirty, the dirtiest part of the body. So what I did was I've taken 2 pillowcases, imported from Cambodia because my parents go there every 5 years or so, and they bring back some cool little textiles and such. So these beautiful blue silk, floral embroidered pillowcases, and this pillow is all puffy. In a lot of fairy tales, you present like a crown on the pillow or like a ring on the pillow. Becomes a pedestal per se. So in that sense, I use them as a pedestal to hold flip-flops, sandals. As I said earlier, the feet are the dirtiest part of the body. So what I'm doing is I'm enacting a faux pas.
Okay.
Putting any semblance of the feet on any object that belongs or comes near the head is a no-no.
Okay.
It's like, it's bad.
Right.
You committed a cultural taboo.
Right.
But in a sense, it's also presenting it. As I said, in some cultures, a pillow is a nice way to present something, a ring or whichever. So I have 2 of those pillows on the floor with a adult-sized pair of flip-flops and a child-sized pair of flip-flops. It's representing the youth and the adult cultural clash. Like, the youth, the next generation, are they maintaining the cultural respect their adults have been bestowing upon them?
Right.
Will they carry that torch, or will they just have it dissipate and disappear?
Right.
It's like, and I placed it in a sense, in a fashion that it looks like a confrontation.
Okay.
So,
Very interesting.
and that leads to the wall, the back wall. And on that back wall is the piece that I call Hyphen. I identify myself usually as Cambodian American, Cambodian hyphen American. So the hyphen in itself becomes this idea of mixed, dual culture.
Right.
So the title Hyphen correlates to that.
Right.
So what it is the Cambodian flag with all its color. And on it, it's pinned to the wall. I have a bunch of these American flag stickers plastered all over it, just like growing like bacteria, spreading on the flag, taking it over. It's in a way it's showing that a lot of my Cambodian Asian culture is becoming overwhelmed with the American side of it. I live in America.
Right.
Everything I do is American.
Right.
Every corner is a McDonald's, a Dunkin' Donuts, a dollar store, a Chinese buffet. Look, it's everything that's Americanized.
Right.
So I'm taking this purity, the flag of my parents' homeland, and then visually having it being run over by made in USA stickers, American flag stickers. And that leads to my last piece. my last piece is called Utilities. In Thailand and Cambodia, most often you sit on the floor, and on the floor you lay on or sit on a plastic mat. And when you're impoverished like my family was, a pillow could be anything as a bunched up towel, a bunched up blanket. In the Cambodian culture, the very uniquely patterned textile called krama. It's like checkered, it's like a gingham, but multicolored, very beautiful.
Yeah.
Textile is huge in Cambodia. So I have 2 plastic mats and about 3 of these krama textile scarves, fabrics on the floor. And I welcome people to sit down, lay down, have conversations, stand on it, take some of the kramas and bunch it up, sleep, take a nap during the exhibition, I don't care. It becomes a place of respite, a place of dialogue, a place of interaction. And it breaks the mold of what the usual art experience is. Don't touch the art. Don't go over this line. Don't put your hand over the barricade. You'll trigger a sensor. You get pulled away by the security guard. And in this sense, this piece breaks all that. So, in the end, that ends it all. You drop your guard, relax. You've already committed so many faux pas coming into the show. Relax now.
So there are a lot of elements in the exhibit that require the viewer's participation, right? We have taking off shoes, navigating a minefield, coloring, even sleeping. Is that an important element to your exhibits? Is that?
I feel like the people's usual conception of art is that you look at it and there you go, have a nice day. Art, to me, the art I do is I want you to experience it in all senses, physically, mentally, all the senses, smell, touch, and it's, to me, it's this word I learned in art history, Gesamtkunstwerk. It's German for total work, total artwork. It attacks all the senses at once, and it's a holistic feel.
So the experience in and of itself is also the art, the experience that the viewer has. Interesting. Well, we're really excited to have you here. Can't wait to see.
Well, I'm excited to be here. It's a great space.
Yeah, good, great. So we love to showcase local artists of all kinds, and I guess my question finally for you would be, what advice would you have for other artists, aspiring artists that come visit your exhibit?
I guess just as cliche as it sounds, just keep on doing what you feel is right. Like a lot what people see that I'm doing is like, that's a waste of time. He's not really doing anything. He's buying things, putting it in a different context. Oh, I can do that, but you didn't. You're not doing it. Like if you're doing something different, or you do something that other people do but a different style, do it. If you have a passion to exhibit, do it. If you want to continue to sculpt out a popsicle stick, do it. Like maybe there's someone out there that wants to see that. So don't give up.
Is there any other last words you'd like to leave us with about the work? Or
I can't wait for the cheese and crackers. The best part
Neither
of the
can
show.
I. Why not? Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Rachel.
It's really been great.
Yes.